Welcome to Norwich, a fine city as the road signs say, known in one respect for its fantastic cathedral, but tonight the only cathedral anyone will be focusing on is the one in shot now. Carrow Road, all lit up and set for Norwich City versus Leicester City, 20th against 3rd. Goodness me, don't the Canaries desperately need a win. For those who maybe haven't been here before, two floodlights across towards the far end have got the river behind it, hence being known as the river end. And then this bit away to our left, that goal is where you'll see the Snake Pit and the Barclay, where you tend to get a bit more noise out of the home supporters. And then just across the far side, kind of just at an angle by the corner flag, is the away section where the Leicester City fans will be hoping for yet another victory in what's been such a good season for them. Just slightly hit the buffers lately, and I say slightly because it's hardly a huge dip in form. Draws against Chelsea and Wolves, a 1-0 loss against Manchester City at home last time out. Of course, they also lost against Villa in the Cup semi-final, so it does mean that they haven't won in their last 4 games, which, for the high standards they've set since Brendan Rodgers came in almost exactly a year ago from Celtic, is something of almost, well, not a mini crisis, but certainly quite a blip. It's a sellout tonight. Norwich desperately need the win, and I know that's obvious for a bottom club to say as the traffic whizzes by, but they could actually take some inspiration from their opponents, because the last club to dig themselves out of as bad a situation as Norwich have got themselves into was Leicester City back in 2015, thanks to Nigel Pearson and that great escape where they won 7 of their last 9 to somehow miraculously survive. The Canaries come into this one 6 points behind Watford and West Ham United, and 7 points behind Aston Villa, who sit in that oh so valuable 17th, 4th from bottom spot outside of the dreaded relegation drop zone. The main problem, of course, all season has been, amongst other things, as well as defensive issues, the over-reliance going forward on Teemu Pukki. They've scored 24 Premier League goals this season, Norwich City. 11 of them have been by the Finn, and it doesn't take a genius of a statistician to work out that is just under half. And it's not really ideal. Normally, if you've got a team in a relegation battle and a striker gets that many goals, it is enough to dig yourselves out of it. They also, interestingly today I found out, in the 15 Premier League games where they've conceded first, they've lost every single one of them. So if Norwich go 1-0 behind tonight, Leicester will feel like they are well set for 3 points. So there's been bigger problems as well for the home side recently. Sam Byram confirmed out for the rest of the season with a hamstring problem. Onel Hernandez is probably out for the bulk of, if not the entirety of the rest of the campaign too. He needs a knee operation. Leicester could welcome back Wilfred Ndidi from knee surgery themselves, but that would seem relatively unlikely. There's no need to rush him back. They've got plenty of games that they'll need him for, and that is quite a sustainable injury to be recovering from. Next up for them, they've got Birmingham City in the 5th round of the Cup next Wednesday. Norwich are away at Spurs. Indeed, the FA Cup has been pretty much their one thing for Norwich fans to get excited about in 2020. They haven't actually scored a goal from open play in the Premier League since the 1st of January. In the 6 games since, they've scored a couple of penalties, and that has been it for Daniel Farke's side. There's been a lot of talk in the local press about the balance of their midfield, and particularly Emiliano Buendia, who's, well, he's right at the top of the chart for chances created in the entire Premier League division, but the balance of Daniel Farke's midfield is something he's talked a lot about, and needing that defensive stability. Leicester City known for the fact that they like to overload in the centre of the pitch, which Farke has talked about in the build-up to this game. There are so many storylines, so many subjects that Jamie Vardy. He hasn't scored a goal since Boxing Day, has had an injury layoff in that time, it should be said, but it's not often you talk about Jamie Vardy not scoring a goal for a couple of months. Brendan Rodgers has said that he's thought that it's taken him a bit of time to get back up to speed since that injury, and that he's not the kind of striker to be nervous, which isn't the kind of word you normally associate with Jamie Vardy. Rodgers believing that some of that form and speed returned in that game against Manchester City, which is encouraging signs for the Foxes. They could of course go 12 points clear of Manchester United, who sit in 5th currently, and that would take Leicester City another big step towards qualifying for the Champions League for just the 2nd time in their history. It is easy to forget, given that miraculous Premier League title win a few years ago, just what a fantastic period it is for this club that not a million years ago were actually still in the third tier of English football, where of course Norwich City also were around a decade or so ago. So it's Norwich City versus Leicester City. The teams will be out shortly. Brendan Rodgers did go with a back three against Manchester City last time out, was quite happy how it went. Will be interesting to see if he decides to continue with that. As for Norwich, well, it's pretty much last chance for them now. They've got to be winning games like this. They've got to find some very unlikely wins from somewhere. They need probably a minimum of 5 or 6 wins to have a chance. Some of the optimistic home fans head in and out of the club shop, hoping to get a bit of merchandise on their hands for them. And that's pretty much that from me. Teams will be out shortly. Let's see what we get on this Friday night. Oh, and the conditions, if you can't already tell, utterly horrid. It is pouring down with rain. Should be an interesting one. It's Norwich versus Leicester at Carrow Road.